Hello everyone, my name is Braelyn Hobbs. I'm an astrologer with the Noble Source. I also do palm readings and tarot card readings, which were our previous lectures that we did. We're going to be talking about chakras, crystals, and the power of color. And here on the big screen we can see white light entering and being refracted into 7 visible colors. These colors are things that I'll be carrying over to our understanding of chakras, because each color carries a very different personality and overtone, and this is going to be combined with our understanding of crystals to be able to perform healing and bring about more technical approach to this understanding. Now chakra, when it comes to its Sanskrit meaning, can be dated back to being called wheel or cycle. It relates to energy points or vortexes within the body that are receptive of these energy forces and can act as a conduit to move it through our energy system. The number 7 is special because it also relates to 7 days of the week, 7 planets, 7 colors of the rainbow, and a lot more. This is a roadmap of our development spiritually as well. As we move through the lower chakra points, we're going to see that a lot of these will deal with aspects of our physical well-being, and all of us trying to find our sense of purpose and willpower, being connected to our heart, and eventually opening of our third eye and improving our intuitive nature and connection to one another. There's also numerous connections and implementations of this knowledge that you can apply to astrology, palmistry, tantric meditation, and more. So this knowledge has a lot of crossover. It's really much more of a fabric that you can find that there's a lot of accuracy if they help reinforce each other's meanings. So here's a picture that depicts the positions of the chakras themselves. We have a person in a lotus pose, and we have some implements of yoga to help improve energy movement with these various systems. So here at the bottom is red, like Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, is how we're going to move from our base chakra toward our crown chakra. Now the root chakra deals with feelings of being grounded, secure, and prosperous. It also deals with survival instincts, your primal urges, and feelings of security within your environment. Its Sanskrit name is known as Muladhara, and it's located at the base of the spine. Some ways to charge this is through the mantra of Lam and the sense of Vedavir. And you could really energize yourself by doing warrior pose, is what they're implementing. Orange chakra, which is the area of your creativity and your emotionality, is also the potency of your sexuality. It is located in your lower abdomen. It is orange. Deals with understanding of the possessiveness within emotions and being able to be confident in your sexual expressions. Third chakra is right there, yellow, number 3. Implies your personal willpower. It's also your optimism. It's the power of your self-esteem. Being connected to confidence and in terms of your purpose will enhance this. The heart chakra, right there in the center of the chest, tends to be applied to the lungs. It is known as the seat of the soul and deals with aspects of empathy and love. Connected with family in terms of your deep emotionality, will be able to bring peaceful feelings to the heart, which is a great sign of a really balanced heart chakra. That brings us to number 5, and it matters of the throat because it deals with matters of your personal expression. What are you communicating to other people? Are you able to express your creativity? Are other people receptive to what you have to teach or share? Anytime you have physical difficulties manifesting in any of these areas, such as lung problems or digestive issues, are also physical indications that will go into further detail in the medical part of this lecture. Problems with communicating can show up as thyroid issues, difficulty with stuttering, and other issues. Move up to number 6. This is our third eye chakra in the color of purple. This deals with our intuitiveness and how we're connected to one another. It also implies the depths of our imagination and where we're able to visualize. And crown chakra is the receptive energy that's pulling all of this cosmic force through the system itself. So on one level, it helps you be connected in terms of your purpose and your identity, as well as feelings of unity with other people. A lot of these chants, in fact, Om is represented here in the third eye regarding the mantras of these. It's an idea that if you call out name of these chakra points in particular, you're able to provide healing. If it's too open, you can dial it back, and if it's too closed, you can help open it up. And all these various positions that they're assuming here in this Hatha yoga system is to be able to really open those aspects. And there are a lot of methods in terms of opening these, which will be going into further detail. This meditation and yoga are just two examples of that. A brief history of the chakras. There are accounts with the Hindu Upanishads and Tantric Buddhists from 800 BCE to 200 BCE. And Swamis and Gurus have improved their understanding in later centuries. It was translated into English by Sir John Woodruff in 1919 in a book called Serpent's Power. Theosophical movements then introduced chakras to the West through the works of Alice Bailey, whose writings over 30-year periods were the results of telepathic communication with Tibetan masters. A lot of this understanding in terms of chakras that have come through Hindu understandings and the Upanishads or through channeling of higher beings is how these archetypes were pieced together. And the serpent's power we'll be getting into when we start talking about kundalinis. Broken up into these various tables to help give you an understanding of some of their natures. At the top, we have their color expressions: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, from left to right. We have their Sanskrit names: Muladhara, Svadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Visuddha, Ajna, Sahasraha. And the translations of those words: Muladhara means root, support. Svadhisthana means one's own place. Manipura means lustrous gem. Anahata means unstuck. Visuddha means purity. Ajna means command. And Sahasraha means thousand-spoked. Where they're located, the perineum or base of the tailbone is red. The sanctum, the pelvis sacrum, is the orange. Solar plexus with a marked yellow. Center of the heart for green. Throat for blue. Brow center for purple. And crown for violet. They also correspond with elements themselves. When it comes to base survival and surviving in our physical embodiment, are qualities of the earth element within the first chakra. To be able to understand the depths of emotionality and connections with your own sexuality is an understanding of water. To be able to share your confidence and your optimism and your identity are aspects of fire and passion. And to be able to practice detachment and have a peaceful mind is implied in the element of air, as well as the lungs, which tend to be applied in the green chakra. Fifth chakra moves us into sound. It is produced from the throat. This is chanting and creating a vibration. The third eye deals with matters of light, being receptive and applying it. And the power of thought itself is represented in the seventh chakra. All these are various levels of consciousness, and as you move upward, we move away from the physical to the more philosophical and intangible forces. They also describe the senses. When it comes to the first chakra, you have smell. It's a very primal trait. You move to taste, which is also the oral fixation you would expect from someone with a toddler's development. When it comes to finding your place in the world and really expressing yourself. It's really more of what you see and what you perceive, so sight gets represented in the yellow. Being able to physically touch other people, whether it's by holding them or hugging them or by touching their hearts, we have the heart represented. Being able to listen and communicate are qualities of hearing, which is what falls into the blue chakra. Intuition and ESP, psychic abilities, gets represented in what's called the sixth sense. That's the eyes on the back of your head, that feeling in your gut. And then when it comes to the seventh chakra, it's aspects beyond the senses, things that really aren't comprehensible on our level. And here are the various chants that they have for the various colors. Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Hum, Om, and silence or Aum, A-U-M, I've also seen for the seventh chakra. So in terms of food type, in terms of diet, the primal nature that comes with red is proteins and meats. Just kind of like how you have a cave person who sniffs around trying to hunt and eat meat. This is the basic survival nature level 1 for existence. When it came to the orange chakra, we were talking about the element of water, which deals with matters of emotions and your expression. The food type would be compared to liquids. Now when it comes to burning of energy and burning brightly, which is what you would expect from a yellow chakra, you get your carbohydrates. Now when it comes to living a non-aggressive lifestyle, not forced to rely on meats of predatory nature, we turn to our agrarian and the eating of vegetable, which is much more in the area of the heart. And for the throat, we get fruit. The sixth chakra is the consuming of beauty, the appreciation of art or color or sound or music, whatever it is that's able to stir you on the inside is able to satisfy your sixth chakra. And the seventh chakra is the absence of that, the choosing of not eating. On some level it could be like the eating of energy, breath energy. Here's the other half of this table here. At the top of this, we have our crystals. Each of the crystals vibrates at a particular frequency, and it most frequently shows up as the color of the stones themselves. So with your red stones, these are your grounding, health-oriented stones. You have garnet, hematite, and tourmaline, all of which are geared toward bringing a good health, purging of toxins, and tourmaline's a good converter from negative energy to positive energy. This brings us to the water chakra, being the orange chakra, which gives us coral, carnelian, and moonstone. These are stones that help with hormones, that help with sexual healing, and as well as the connecting to deep emotional, intuitive aspects of yourself. Topaz, citrine, and tiger's eye all actually happen to be Leo's birthstones. They deal with bringing you of positive energy and a lot of good life force. Jade, emerald, and rose quartz are good for healing in matters of the heart, within the heart chakra. And sodalites, I think that says solidite, that's a typo. That should be sodalite, celestite, and turquoise. Helps you find your creative edge and your expression to be able to really communicate what it is that you're trying to say to other people. We have opal, which is kind of a rainbowy stone, azurite, and lapis lazuli for our third eye chakra. This is the stones that you want to keep at your side to improve your dreams. This is the stones that you want at your side to be able to improve your intuitive connection to other people. And then finally, with our violet or white chakra, they tend to be interchangeable in terms of color, we have diamond, amethyst, and clear quartz. Clear quartz is most frequently used in directing of energy. It is a programmable crystal. And diamond is able to refract light into the seven colors themselves in a prism, which shows that it is a containment of all the colors. It's supposed to be able to bring you the aspects of these incenses. The incenses we sell in the store actually are all on this various spectrum. Here's some of the main focuses of the signs. Red will deal with your physical existence. This is survival. Emotions and intimacy in orange. Power and identity in yellow. Love and connection in green. Self-expression and life purpose in blue. Clear perspective and psychic abilities in purple, and connections to spirit and wisdom in violet chakra. These are the rights: the right to have, the right to feel, the right to act, the right to love, the right to express, to perceive, and to know. Here are some of the positive and negative qualities that you can see between the signs, which will be excellent clues of a balanced chakra and one that's going to need a lot of work. So here are just the positive qualities of red: stability, vitality, loyalty, prosperity, patience, tenacity, and career success. When there are difficulties, bowel or blood-bone disorders, obesity, anorexia, anxiety, spaciness, financial problems, chronic fear, materialism, and instability. So when it comes to feeling safe within your environment in terms of your own survival, that's why that security and insecurity and constant fear is represented. Blood diseases and issues in terms of that will also show up as problems with the red chakra. So when it comes to matters of the orange, it does deal with matters of pleasure and creativity and sexuality. And in well balanced, you'll possess joy, creativity, adaptability, and sensuality. Fertility, pleasure, and a good sexuality. But if you have an unbalanced orange chakra, it could show up as sexual inhibitions, genital issues, sexual or fertility problems, rigidity, isolation, hip or joint problems, or dehydration. So when there are physical ailments that show up, there are excellent clues that there might be an underlying cause. If there's a chronic case of heart or lung problems, then it's very possible that it's just been an energetic issue that has aggravated the physical body. So in the matters of yellow, that's our optimism and our confidence. It's our power, charisma, humor, leadership, and mental clarity when well balanced. When it has issues, this is matters of the solar plexus, kind of like that tummy and digestion area. You're going to have digestion issues, kidney or liver problems, timidity, rage, diabetes, ulcers, domination, chronic fatigue, and low self-esteem. And that actually strikes very close to my own personal experiences, because I actually suffered liver disease before in my experience in my past, when I was dealing with a lot of problems with my position within school and college, and in terms of my sexuality and identity, that it all spiraled, and eventually I developed a liver disease. And when I was talking to the doctors, they had to attribute it to a genetic cause, because they couldn't relate to some sort of hereditary or causal from like drinking too much or things of that sort. The green chakra is your ability to be connected, loving, and trusting. Deals with healing, feelings of equanimity, compassion, connection, and surrender. Issues can be chronic asthma, apneas of the heart or lung problems, breast cancer, allergies, immune disorders, antisocial thymus issues, and feelings of consistent loneliness. Blue, strength, truth, purpose, expression, creativity and artistry, service, feelings of synchronicity, communication. But if you have problems in this area, it can show up as thyroid issues, hearing problems, teeth issues, tonsillitis, stiff neck and shoulders, and a consistent lack of purpose or a fear of speaking. In terms of a third eye, when it's well balanced, you have a sense of vision, you possess intuition, you have good dreams, insight, perception, and clairvoyance. But if you are suffering in the area of your third eye, it'll show up as vision problems, migraines, nightmares, bipolar or sleep disorders, sinus issues, hallucinations, or a lack of intuition. So the seventh chakra, which really deals with us finding positions of unity and oneness within mankind, the strengths will show up as wisdom, awareness, intelligence, and understanding, and experiencing of miracles or feelings of bliss. But if they are cut away or having difficulties in their crown chakra, it can manifest for things as serious as Alzheimer's, confusion, spaciness, mental illness, over-intellectual, depression, apathy, and learning disabilities. So these are excellent clues to listen to other people if you're considering getting into crystal healing or Reiki, is to be aware of their history of their medical illnesses and see if you can find any real patterns that might be happening between their personal experiences within their life, as well as how energetic differences can show up as biological problems. And these down here are affirmations, things just to say to yourself so you can help strengthen those areas of your life. I am grounded. I am safe and secure. I make a good living doing what I love. I am stable, strong and healthy. I am creative and adaptable. I am a sensual and sexual being and able to enjoy the pleasure of life. I can do anything I set my mind to. I am powerful and use power wisely. I have a good sense of humor and laugh often. I am loving and lovable. I am deeply compassionate. I am a source of healing in the world. I know my truth and I share it. I am guided by my deepest purpose. My life is guided by divine synchronicity. I am intuitive and follow my inner guidance. I always see the big picture. I avidly follow my dreams. And finally, I am intelligent and aware. I am one with everything. I have endless great ideas. There are so many different layers that you can look at chakras with that it permeates very many different areas of study. Now we're going to talk about the Kundalini, and in particular the Kundalini serpent. This symbol, you've probably seen it. It's called a caduceus, and that you've probably seen it on like ambulances and within the medical field. But did you know that it actually corresponds to the chakra points themselves, as well as the awakening of the soul? So here we have these various coils of these two snakes describing the connection of all of these elements to be able to awaken or enlighten the soul. Kundalini rising. Here's a pictorial depiction of how the chakras work with the Kundalini to open what's called the third eye. And these are diagrams that were taken out of ancient books and understandings, and they've been updated with our understanding now. Kundalini rising is the transformative spiritual experiences of the spirit through the levels of consciousness. It's being able to see that it's not all about you, and being able to understand your emotions, being able to have confidence and find your place within this world, and then connecting with heart and love to be able to let them flow freely and be able to express it. That'll help you feel connected, and eventually that'll be able to connect you to spirit. This is the idea of the transformation or myth of the soul's development. Deep suffering, challenges, and psychedelics can trigger the opening of the third eye and acts as a complete circuit when all those chakras are aligned properly. Deep suffering, challenges, and psychedelics can trigger the opening. There's the idea of what is called the black night of the soul, which is supposed to be our singular, most traumatizing experience that really forces you to wake up and start making processes on this ladder within. And there's the idea of psychedelics doing the moving you to different levels of existence through chemical reactions, which were achievable results through practices of things like Kundalini meditations and transcendental meditations. But for a lot of people, it's becoming more and more common that through the use of things like psilocybin mushrooms or LSD, that a lot of people are having their own transformative experiences. Kundalini can be awakened by Shaktipat. which is spiritual transmission by a guru or teacher or by spiritual practices such as yoga or meditation. This is the idea of creating awakening in other people through working with their own chakras and their own mind. That there are swamis or gurus who are able to trigger Kundalini rising in other people by opening of various energies and nodes within the mind. When awakened Kundalini is said to rise up from the Muladhara chakra through the central nadi called the Sushumna inside or alongside the spine and reaching the top of the head. Means it rises from the base chakra, works its way up. Third eye there, thalamus, crown chakra, pineal gland, Pingala related to the eye, Pingala and Ida serpents, two different serpents. One represents venom and death, the other represents blood and life. And it's the combination of light and dark, and working them both together. And each of these nodes actually also aligns with particular glands within the body. Adrenal glands and thyroid. And one of the later slides will go into further detail about that. Maybe the one right after it. Okay, here's the pineal gland over here, represented in the purple. Hypothalamus, pituitary. Here's the thyroid for the blue chakra. Thymus, unconditional love for the heart chakra. Here's the adrenals and the kidneys. Leiden, pancreas, and gonads. And all these are releasing various different chemicals that affect our consciousness within these areas. For instance, when we're in adrenaline, blood is pumping, you're really, really driven, there's all this raging energy that needs to be applied. Well, that would be the example of existence of someone living within the red chakra vibration in terms of their primal trying to live in life. Emotional energy centers of the body. These are areas that show up when you're working with healing of the body and where there are certain pressures and areas of burden that we take on ourselves, such as carrying a lot of weight on our shoulders, whether figuratively or physically, difficulty expressing in matters of the throat, dealing with issues such as sorrow and pain, which is causing difficulties in matters of the heart. Also says helplessness, aloneness, embarrassment, shame, humiliation. The fear center is our yellow chakra. Coincidentally, yellow being used to embody fear is kind of like the Green Lanterns, which also have all 7 colors being represented to describe the qualities of these chakras. Fear center, loss of control, giving power to other people in relationships. Our anger and our guilt showing up here. And these are all warning areas if there's any medically difficulties, things showing up in these areas. They can be attributed to holding on to a lot of anger, holding on to a lot of guilt, holding on to a lot of old stuff, family sexual issues, childhood conditioning, violation of your space, something done to us or something taken from you without your permission, such as abuse and rape. This is orange chakra damage. And because of this orange chakra damage, it will show up in terms of sexual inhibition or a lot of difficulties that can manifest in the future. And areas of survival, feeling like we won't survive a life-threatening incident. This is like an example of our red chakra. And here within sort of the kidneys is our aspects of dealing with betrayal and feelings of rejection. Emotions have a physical effect on our bodies. Here's just another quick example of chakras being used in music and expression. We have the chromatic scale, which chroma kind of describes colors.
And what? That's diatonic.
Ah. And there's the platonic solid shapes being represented here. So next we're going to go into crystals. We'll be talking about their practical applications and their relations with the chakra systems themselves. And this is how crystals grow. There's a solution, and we have the building on that happening on the outside. How do crystals grow? Well, what are crystals? Crystals are structures that are formed from regular, repeated patterns of connected atoms or molecules. Crystals grow by a process termed nucleation. During nucleation, atoms or the molecule will crystallize, or in a solute, are dissolved into their individual unit in the solvent. The solute particles contact each other and connect with each other. And the result is that the subunit is larger than the individual particles, so that's what causes it to attract and to connect with it and to build and expand, just because the initial creating of the seed crystal then starts to attract the similar organization of molecules by basis of attraction, and they just build on each other. Eventually, this crystal nucleus becomes large enough that it falls out of the solution, crystallizes. Other solute molecules will continue to attach to the surface of the crystal, causing it to grow until a balance or equilibrium is reached between the solute molecules in the crystal and those that remain in the solution. It's like the idea of when you mix sugar and water to a point to where the sugar will no longer dissolve. Crystals in the chakra. This is going to list a few crystals and how they correspond with these various nodal points. We talked a little bit about red chakra with garnet, bloodstone, and hematite. These are just more examples of how they connect to a various variety of crystals. So in terms of color, most red, brown, and black stones will be red chakra stones. Most orange stones will belong to the orange chakra. Most yellows will belong to yellow. Greens and pinks both vibrate on opposite levels, and they're reflective of each other, so they tend to be both incorporated in the green chakra. Throat is blue, brow is indigo, and crown you have the choices of violets, purples, golds, and clears, and whites. All are acceptable uses of your crown chakra stones. Having difficulties in the areas of the chakra, here are more physical examples. Issues with joints, bones, or lower intestines, red. Bladder issues, lower back and abdomen will be orange issues. Your digestive organs and glands and kidneys will be affected to damage of the yellow chakra. Heart disease, lungs, and asthma will be affected by emotional damage. Respiratory system, neck, and thyroid can be affected by communication difficulties. Headaches, eye conditions, and balance issues can be created by problems within your pineal gland. And nervous system, brains, and depression, if there's issues within that being connected to your seventh chakra. So here's another table that we're going to be going into the geometry of the various crystals. There's a lot of crystals, and some of them have different numbers of faces and angles. Most commonly, you have, like quartz, you have 6 sides that eventually come into a point, and each of the numbers tend to correspond with numerology. The cube, 3 squares at each corner, 6 faces. Base root chakra, element of earth. Icosahedron, 5 triangles meet at each corner. There's 20 faces on it. This is our orange chakra, element of water. Tetrahedron, this triangle shape here, 3 triangles at each other with 4 faces. Solar or third, fire. Octahedron are 4 triangles that meet each corner with 8 faces. This belongs to the heart chakra of air. Dodecahedron, 3 pentagons are meeting at each corner. This is 12 faces. Throat or 5th chakra, and the element of sound. The Merkaba, or star tetrahedron, is 1 tetrahedron pointing up and 1 tetrahedron pointing down, and they're joined together, which is indicative of the 3rd eye chakra and working with light. And the sphere has no beginning and no end, no corners and no edges, and this is like the infinite nature that comes with the crown chakra and is powered by thought. So here's some examples of some stones so you can actually see what they look like. We have a black onyx up here. It says that it cleanses the air, it reduces your home of negative energy. Some rose quartz helps relieve stress and frustration and eases anxiety. This is a green chakra stone. Amethyst helps relieve headaches and fatigue, promotes good dreams and good skin, supports bone and joints. 3rd eye chakra or crown chakra is a good use for amethyst. Yellow citrine, used to boost concentration, boost your memory, and spark creativity. It's a very optimistic stone which works good with your yellow chakra. Lapis is an ancient migraine remedy and supports the immune system. Rainbow opal increases inspiration and creativity with helping with PMS and headaches. These stones in particular work with hormones. Topaz works to balance hormones and combat aging. And aquamarine aids with acid reflux and gastrointestinal disorders. Jade supports the adrenal glands and relieves headaches. Garnet is good for back pain, calcium deficiencies, and tissue regeneration because of redstone qualities. Bloodstone is good for blood pressure and blood diseases, pressure and supports circulatory system, and is good for colds. And agate is a pretty common stone, which is good for simple detoxification and just helps you feel more calm. Crystal healing. Stones are placed directly onto the body in consideration of chakra health and properties. Stones of corresponding colors are often applied to matching chakra positions. Intuitive practitioners can sense the etheric forces traveling up the body's kundalini and restore functionality to the body. So in this example here with this woman here, we have an intuitive crystal placement with some regard to traditional heart chakra placement, blue placement, and it looks like we have some yellows in terms of for the yellow chakra, but there were some extra stones that are added that they were able to feel that were necessary. Practitioner can also use what are called crystal wands, and there are 2 ways to do this. In your left hand is considered your receptive hand, and your right hand will be an extroverted hand, which gives energy and one will be receptive to it. It'll help to correct it if issues are too open or too closed. They can also use a stone to ground themselves against negative releases of energy. So often you'll have a practitioner hold on to a piece of hematite or tourmaline to be able to cancel the feelings that they're getting from the other person that they're working on. If they're purging of negativity, they don't want to draw any of that into themselves, so they have to ground that. So here's a diagram that depicts the right hand crystal tip out and left hand crystal tip in, which will be reoccurring in the use of crystal gridding and the like. It says recharge yourself. Hold a crystal in your hand. For best results, hold 2 crystals with your hands and allow energy to flow through your body. Completing a circuit. You can do this by holding a crystal pointing outwards with your right hand, and while the left hand holds another crystal pointing it towards your body. And these crystals can be picked with specific purposes. For instance, when doing a tarot card reading, I have a clear quartz outward so that way I can communicate outward clear messages and have information be accurately received. And I have an amethyst that points toward me to deal with being receptive to intuitive energies. So there's a lot of ways you can apply this in terms of specific crystals each providing a different effect. Crystal gazing is another use of crystals, which involves meditating and watching of a crystal stone for an extended amount of time, and intuitively people become receptive to messages, or they may physically see aspects within the crystals themselves. They don't always have to be crystal balls, but that's one of the most popular uses. Crystal pendulums are also excellent. They can be used for simple questions, yes and no's. They're frequently used with the direction that they're swinging to determine an answer of which. And the example that they're using here is to try to locate something using a map. So there's a lot of creative uses for these pendulums. Personally, I actually use a pendulum when it comes to doing crystal work with other people to ask if particular nodes of the body are too open or too closed, or if they require attention. I go over each particular red chakra, orange chakra, yellow to assess how open it is. Making your own jewelry is good for carrying power objects with you. It's become very popular to wrap crystals in wire to wear them as pendants around your neck. Some people just choose to carry stones within their pockets to try to get these effects from them. Here's an example of a crystal built into a wire weave dream catcher. You can imagine all types of effects that you're trying to draw into expanding your dreaming ability, or being able to be protective of your dreams. Placing crystals in your garden has been known to increase some of the energy working through the garden, perhaps extending plant life. We have some examples of some quartz and some pyrite, which is supposed to be able to bring fortune and good feelings toward the gardens themselves. And crystal grid, which are excellent to include in a room itself to generate particular effects or feelings. They can be any size. Here's a small example that uses a flower of life as a gridding pattern. And there are many patterns that exist outward from pentacles to trigrams. Here's an example of one that uses a pyramid shape. And here's a diagram of the various elements based on these the four cardinal directions. So we have that there's a specific type of energy flow with one type of stone, and they tend to have small synergy effects that happen within it that they try to create. Here's a large one that's on a beach, all completely made from quartz. And they can be really, really big and complicated, or they can be just as simple as you would like to make them. This is an impressive one that uses a giant rose quartz sphere at the center, bars of selenite, and a bunch of quartz. Caring for crystals, cleaning, cleansing, charging, arranging, crystal programming, choosing a crystal, stones that require special care. So when it comes to working with particular stones, not all of them are water friendly. Some of them aren't even safe to physically handle. Sometimes they contain things like leads and such. So it's very important to be aware of these sorts of things. But most commonly, crystals which are safe to handle are most frequently cleaned in water, placed in things like salt for cleansing and saging. Similarly, some stones can be placed in sunlight, and some will lose their color. So they recommend solar, lunar, or elemental energies. And just simply rearranging them will affect them as well. The idea of programming the crystal is just setting your intent with a particular stone itself, saying that this quartz point will only be used for directing of energy, or this amethyst point will be only used for dreaming. You set up these intents with these particular stones themselves, and they can be geared towards specific purposes. I have even seen crystal programming in which it uses the archetypes of tarot cards to be able to communicate these energies. And choosing a crystal most frequently is an intuitive process. Most people say that they're drawn to particular stones. And being aware that there are some stones that do require special care, such as things like pyrite, malachite. It's not safe to put in water, poison the water, because it deposits copper. Your crystal. This is different from cleaning your crystals. You may also place your crystal in the direct light of the moon. Another method is smudging a crystal with sage, incense, or sweet grass. You can also cleanse and charge your crystal with other crystals. A crystal can be placed on a large cluster or a generator charged by a larger crystal. And here are some examples. Soak in spring water for 4 hours. At the top left, it says do not do this with malachite, lapis, lazuli, selenite, or turquoise. Pass through candlelight, smudge with sage. Breath and meditation visualization. Moonlight, Tibetan singing bowls. Store in a bag with carnelian. Sunlight, sea salt or seawater, bury in sand or soil for 24 hours. Place crystals on a cluster or a geode of clear quartz or amethyst, or bury in brown rice overnight. Here's an example of some sun-bleached amethyst compared to what an amethyst cluster is supposed to look like. You can see that it's lost its purple hue, it's a little translucent, and the other ones are much deeper. Birthstones. This goes back to astrology, starting to combine crystals in our understanding of our birth dates. According to Indian Ayurvedic philosophy, practiced over 1,500 years, every person is assigned a birthstone that corresponds to his or her nature. In Tibet, a person's mystical birthstone is an honored tradition that dates back to at least 1,000 years. In the Western Middle Ages, stones were thought to have properties linked to cycles of the zodiac, which were based on the Gregorian calendar. In 15th century Poland, it was not uncommon for wealthy people to own jewelry in the 12 different stones of the zodiac and rotate them monthly. So we have this huge historical and cultural cases of people who have these relationships with these stones, think they have effects, and relate them to birth dates, the 12 months themselves. In fact, one example is there's a biblical story about a figure who has a breastplate with 12 stones in them, and they each happen to represent the 12 months, and they were meant to be rotated. And in the 1800s, the Gregorians wrote a poem about birthstones in particular, which was used by the jewelry company Tiffany's publicly to be able to try to sell stones, in which they're saying that these particular stones have these effects. I'm going to just read through a few stanzas. I don't want to go too much into this. By her who in January was born, no gem but garnet shall be worn. They will ensure her constancy, true friendship, and fidelity. The February born shall find sincerity and peace of mind, freedom from passion and from care, if they the amethyst will wear. By her who in March was born, no gem but bloodstone shall be worn. They will ensure her constancy, true friendship, and fidelity. And this poem is actually still available off the Tiffany's website. They say that they do not say one way or the other how they feel about these mystical effects about the stones, but they honor the tradition and keep this poem going. The planets and the crystals. The belief that certain gems have influence on particular dates dates back thousands of years ago. Ancient Chaldeans roamed the earth, and even earlier than that. The Chaldeans are early inhabitants of Mesopotamia, were among the first peoples to study astrology in a scientific way. What they found out was that crystals were connected with other interstellar planets and their movements. The following crystal associations below may seem familiar to some since the days of the Chaldeans. Pluto and Neptune were discovered in the 18th and 19th century, so they don't appear on this table. These are the birthstones for these months, but rather the planets. Venus will be emerald, Mars, ruby. The sun is a diamond. The moon is cellulite, Mercury is agate, Jupiter is jacinth, and Saturn is sapphire. And later on, associations were made with the other planets, being Neptune was assigned alexandrite, Uranus was assigned amethyst, and Pluto received garnet. And we see pairings of this that exist with the particular star signs that they govern. So here's an example of a basic chakra healing orientation when it comes to placing stones upon the body. Starting at the bottom of the base chakra, we do have a red jasper being represented, and we have hematite or tourmalines or negativity purging stones sort of on the kindling areas, and they continue their way up. Ideally, you can have a person reach a meditative state lying on their back or lying on their chest. You can work with the pendulum to find about where they're having trouble areas, or listen to their symptoms that we were discussing earlier medically, and find out what stones need to be placed in which areas, and to determine how long they need to be placed there. You could also see these used with working with a client. You could also meditate and work your own personal energy into them, which is with the right hand and left hand crystal, as well as working with things like Tibetan meditation singing bowls, or using particular scents, that all of which were related to these various chakras as well. So if you pay attention to things like the orange chakra dealt with sandalwood, and you might burn sandalwood or an orange candle to try to help enhance or heal that orange chakra for that other person. We have red jasper, carnelian, yellow adventuring, green adventuring, blue lace agate, sodalite, and amethyst in this chakra set here. So this is an excellent introductory small chakra kit you can carry yourselves. Start healing yourself today. Start carrying chakra stones and start assessing their effects on your own body. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.